Good morning, dear students. Let us move on to the next session of this S block elements or this alkali metals, that is the chemical properties. So far we have been discussing about the physical properties of this alkali metals, that is group 1 metals. That is for lithium, sodium, potassium, then rubidium and then cesium. Okay. Then the next, coming to the chemical properties of this alkali metals, generally they are highly reactive. Alkali metals are highly reactive. That is the first point. They are highly reactive, and also this high reactivity, it is due to, what are the reasons for this high reactivity? That is due to the larger atomic size, isn't it? They are group 1 elements, so they have got a very large atomic size while comparing with the other group elements, and also low ionization energies, isn't it? Low ionization energies and larger atomic size. And also, as we move down the group, what happens? The atomic size increases, isn't it? That is from lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, isn't it? So down the group, what happens to the atomic size? The atomic size increases down the group. Atomic size increases down the group, and also this ionization energy decreases down the group, isn't it? Ionization energy decreases down the group, atomic size increases down the group, and hence we can say that the reactivity of this alkali metals, reactivity increases in the order, that is lithium less than sodium, then comes potassium, then rubidium, then comes cesium. Okay, lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium and cesium. So here, which one has got the least reactivity? Lithium is less than sodium, isn't it? So lithium has got the least reactivity and cesium has got the highest reactivity. Okay, so this is the general trend in that particular group. So the points to be noted down here, it is these alkali metals, they are highly reactive. Then this high reactivity is due to the larger atomic size and lower ionization energy. Then again down the group, atomic size increases and ionization energy decreases. Then again down the group, this reactivity increases from lithium to cesium. Okay. Next is we have to go through some of the chemical properties. See, by this chemical property means, it means that chemical property means it is some of the reactions of this alkali metals. Okay, so first one we have to go through the formation of oxides. Formation of oxides and hydroxides of this alkali metals. Okay, so first one we can write the reaction with oxides or the formation of oxides. Formation of oxides. See, generally these alkali metals, they form oxides and peroxides on reaction with oxygen. Okay, on reaction with oxygen means on the reaction with air or while reacting with air. And also they will be sometimes it can be hydroxides also. They will be forming oxides or hydroxides or peroxide in the presence of oxygen or in presence of moisture. Okay, in the presence of moisture, sometimes it becomes hydroxides. Otherwise, it will be oxides and peroxides. And also they will be tarnishing in air. These alkali metals, they will tarnish in air. Second point, they will tarnish in air. Tarnish in air. And also this nature, it is due to the formation of oxides on the surface of the metals. Okay, this tarnishing nature, it is due to the formation of oxide coating on the surface of the metals. You have seen the copper vessels, it will be having an oxide coating, isn't it? This copper vessel, it will be having a green colored coating. Similarly, silver ornaments, it will be having some black colored coating. These all due to the formation of oxide coating, isn't it? Similarly, this alkali metals will be having some tarnishing nature, and thus it will be forming some oxide coating on the surface of the metal. So this oxide coating, it will be protecting that particular metal by reacting with this air or oxygen. Okay, so generally this the reaction we can write like this. That is a general reaction we can write like this: M plus O2 giving 2M2O. So here M represents the alkali metals. M represents the alkali metals. Okay, so this is the general reaction, 4M plus O2 giving 2M2O. And also some of the alkali metals will be reacting vigorously with oxygen. Okay, some of the alkali metals will be reacting vigorously in oxygen. That means they will be reacting highly in oxygen. And examples for such elements are lithium. The first one, that is lithium, that is 4Li plus O2 giving 2Li2O. So this is a vigorous reaction, and also this is a monoxide, or it is simply an oxide. So lithium on reaction with oxygen giving 2Li2O. Then again, in the case of sodium, sodium also reacts vigorously with oxygen to form sodium peroxide. Okay, sodium peroxide, that is Na2O2. This is sodium peroxide, Na2O2. Then again, another category of oxide which is forming, that is the superoxide. Superoxide, so the general reaction we can write it like this, M plus O2 giving MO2. So this MO2 is the superoxide. MO2 in general we can call it as the superoxide, and also only some of the compounds will be forming superoxides. That means this M, that metal will be, it can be potassium or rubidium or cesium. Okay, so these three elements will be forming oxides, superoxides with oxygen. So here we have seen three types of oxides, that is monoxide, then peroxide, and then the third category, that is the superoxide. Okay, so let us go through this in a short form. That is, suppose this lithium, it can form oxide, then peroxide. I will be writing like a table: oxide, peroxide, and superoxide. Okay, oxide, peroxide, and superoxide. So this lithium, it will be forming, reacting with oxygen to form lithium oxide, that is Li2O. Okay, that is a monoxide, Li2O. Then lithium will be reacting with oxygen to form a peroxide also, that is Li2O2. Li2O2, that is a peroxide. Similarly, sodium, it forms a peroxide, monoxide, that is Na2O. Again, it can form a peroxide, that is Na2O2. Okay. Then again, the third category, that is in the case of superoxide, already we have seen that the superoxide will be forming with what all elements? Potassium, rubidium, and cesium, isn't it? We had seen earlier, that is potassium, rubidium, and cesium will be forming superoxide in the formula MO2. Okay. So here, this potassium oxide, superoxide, that is KO2, then rubidium superoxide, that is RbO2, and cesium oxide, that is superoxide, that is CSO2. So these three will be forming superoxide. These are the superoxides. Okay. So I hope this much are clear. Then again, one or two points are there we have to discuss. Normally, these peroxides, some of the characteristic properties of these peroxides are, they are colorless. Peroxides are colorless as well as diamagnetic. Diamagnetic means those substances which has got only paired electrons. If all the electrons are paired like this, we can say it as a diamagnetic substance. Okay, so this peroxides, they are diamagnetic substances, while paramagnetism means those substances which will be having unpaired electrons. So such type of substances we can call it as paramagnetic substances, while diamagnetic means it will be having paired electrons. Okay. So these peroxides, they are normally colorless and as well as diamagnetic. But in the case of superoxides, they are paramagnetic. Superoxides, they are paramagnetic. That means it will be having unpaired electrons. Okay, paramagnetic as well as they are colored. Colored and paramagnetic in the case of superoxides. Okay, see here, this potassium oxide, it is orange or yellow crystalline precipitate, orange or yellow crystalline substance. sorry, it is a substance, not a precipitate. Then RbO2 also an orange or yellow crystalline. The cesium also, both of these, all these three will be having an orange or yellowish color. Okay, so they are having, these superoxides are having some color, and also they are paramagnetic substances. Normally paramagnetic substances will be exhibiting colors, while diamagnetic substances are colorless. That is the general nature. Okay. So that is the point to be noted down here. And also this peroxides will be reacting with water. Peroxides will be reacting with acids. Peroxides will be reacting with acids to form hydrogen peroxide, that is H2O2. Will be reacting with acids to form H2O2. I will be writing down the reaction here. So peroxide, that is, for example, sodium peroxide, Na2O2. Sodium peroxide, it will be reacting with dilute acid, that is, for example, sulfuric acid, to form Na2SO4, sodium sulfate plus hydrogen peroxide. Okay, so this is the reaction. This peroxides reacts with acids to form hydrogen peroxide. So this is hydrogen peroxide. So this much is regarding the formation of oxides. Then again, coming to the case of hydroxides. Formation of hydroxides. Formation of hydroxides. See, for example, they will be this alkali metals will dissolve in water. Alkali metals will dissolve in water to form hydroxides. That is the first point. Normally, you know that while we are keeping sodium in water, you can see the sodium will be catching fire so easily, isn't it? And also the sodium will be reacting with water to form NaOH. And also this sodium hydroxide, it is a very strong base, isn't it? So then coming similarly, the reaction with oxides also, that is Na2O, that is sodium oxide plus water, reacts with water to form 2 molecules of NaOH. So here a hydroxide is formed. Then again sodium peroxide, that is Na2O2 plus 2 molecules of H2O. Na2O2 plus 2 molecules of H2O giving 2 NaOH plus H2O2. Okay. Then again superoxide KO2. Superoxide of potassium plus 2 molecules of H2O giving 2 KOH, potassium hydroxide. It is also a very strong alkali, plus hydrogen peroxide plus oxygen. Okay. So these are some of the reactions of this oxides with water. So when these oxides are reacting with water, they will be forming very strong hydroxides, NaOH, KOH. They are very strong hydroxides. Okay. Then the next reaction, that is the reaction with water. Second reaction, reaction with water. Reaction with water. See, these alkali metals, they will be reacting readily with water to form hydroxides. Alkali metals will react with water to form hydroxides. Hydroxide formation. They will be reacting readily with reacting with water to form hydroxides. So we can write the general reaction 2M plus H2O giving 2MOH. 2MOH, where M is the alkali metal. Where M is the alkali metal. Okay. So here this M corresponds to the alkali metal. So this metal reacts with water to form metal hydroxide. For example, lithium 2Li plus H2O. Sorry, 2H2O giving 2LiOH plus H2. 2LiOH plus H2. And also here this reactivity with water, it decreases on reactivity increases on moving down the group. We had already seen that reactivity of alkali metals increases down the group, isn't it? Here also reaction with water, The reactivity increases down the group. Reactivity increases down the group. Reactivity increases down the group. Okay. And also, so here we can write the solubility or the thermal stability of these hydroxides. Okay, thermal stability or solubility of these hydroxides. Thermal stability or solubility, both will be in the same order. Okay, thermal stability and solubility of this alkali metals will be in this order. That is, for example, lithium hydroxide less than sodium hydroxide, less than potassium hydroxide, less than rubidium hydroxide, less than cesium hydroxide. Okay, so this is regarding the thermal stability and solubility, not or and solubility. So both of them, this increases lithium hydroxide less than sodium hydroxide, less than KOH, less than RbOH, less than CSOH. So both of them will be increasing down the group. Okay, so this is regarding the thermal stability or the reactivity, or again we can say the basic nature also. Basic nature also increases on this manner. Okay, so this much points only with regard to this reaction with water. Okay, then the next one, that is the reaction with hydrogen. Third reaction, reaction with hydrogen. Reaction with hydrogen. See here, this alkali metals reacts with hydrogen to form metal hydrides. Formation of hydrides. Alkali metals reacts with hydrogen to form hydrides. That is, we can write the general reaction, that is 2M plus H2 giving 2MH. So this MH, it is the metal hydride. MH is the metal hydride. 2M plus H2 giving 2MH. MH is the metal hydride. Also we can go through one of the example, that is, for example, 2Na plus H2 giving 2NaH. Na plus and H minus. So what is this compound NaH? NaH is sodium hydride. NaH is sodium hydride. Okay, and also generally these hydrides, they are strong reducing agents. Hydrides are strong reducing agents. Hydrides are strong reducing agents, and also they will be reducing water with the liberation of hydrogen. So these hydrides normally, sometimes you might have heard in organic chemistry etc. we will be using some of the hydrides for reduction, isn't it? So these hydrides, they will be acting as strong reducing agents, and these reducing agents or these hydrides will be reacting or will be reducing water to liberate hydrogen. For example, lithium hydride LiH plus H2O. Lithium hydride plus H2O. Lithium hydride plus H2O giving LiOH plus H2. So here hydrogen gas will be liberated. Then similar reaction with sodium hydride, NaH plus H2O giving NaOH plus H2. NaOH plus H2. Here also the reducing nature of the hydride increases down the group. Reducing nature or the reducing property of this alkali metals increases down the group. Increases down the group. Okay. So this much is regarding the reaction with hydrogen or the formation of hydride. So you have to study this general equation, and similarly you can substitute this metal with the alkali metals. Okay. And also hydrides, they are strong reducing agents. Then the next one, next reaction, that is the reaction with halogens. The fourth reaction, reaction with halogens. Reaction with halogens. So here this alkali metals react with halogens to form halides. That is, this is a very common reaction, 2Na plus Cl2 giving What is the product? 2NaCl. So this is the alkali metal and this is the halogen. Halogen group means, you know, that is the coming under the common letter X, isn't it? That is, X stands for fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. Fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. So this group represents the halide group. So here this they will be reacting, this alkali metals will be reacting with halogen to form halides, and we can represent it by the general formula MX. Okay, MX metal halide. This is M for alkali metals and X for the halides. Normally we can say that these halides, they are what type of nature, whether it is an ionic compound or a covalent compound. See here, Na plus and Cl minus, that means they will be, these compounds, they are generally ionic in nature. These halides, they are ionic in nature. That is the first point to be noted down. These halides, they are ionic in nature. And also this one exception is there, that is, for example, lithium halide, LiX. Lithium halide, it is they are generally covalent in nature. Okay, lithium halide is covalent in nature. Then the next one, that is the alkali metals. And then another point is that this alkali metal halides, they have got high melting points. Alkali metal halides will be having high melting point. And also this melting and boiling point, usually they will be in the same order. They will be having, they will be following the same pattern. The melting and boiling point decreases in the order fluoride, then greater than chloride, then greater than bromide, greater than iodide. Okay, fluoride, chloride, bromide, iodide. Melting point decreases in this order. Okay, so that is the reaction with halogen. So generally they are ionic in nature, except lithium halides, they are covalent in nature and have got a high melting point as well as melting point. And also you have to study the order. Then the next reaction, that is the fifth reaction, that is the formation of sulfates. Fifth reaction, formation of sulfates. Formation of sulfates. Normally these alkali metals, they will be forming sulfates. Sulfates, they have got the general formula SO4 2-, isn't it? So here this alkali metals, it will be forming M2SO4 like sulfates. And also the solubility of these sulfates, that is lithium sulfate Li2SO4, then sodium sulfate Na2SO4, then K2SO4 potassium sulfate, then Rb2SO4, then CS2SO4. These are the sulfates formed, and the solubility in water of these sulfates is lithium sulfate less than sodium sulfate less than potassium sulfate less than rubidium sulfate less than cesium sulfate. Okay, so cesium sulfate will be the most soluble one in water. Okay, so this is the order of solubility in water. Order of solubility in water. So this much is regarding the formation of sulfates. You have to study this solubility also. Lithium sulfate less than Na2SO4, K2SO4, Rb2SO4, CS2SO4. Then the next one, that is the solubility in liquid ammonia. It is very important. Solubility in liquid ammonia. Solubility in liquid ammonia. See, normally these alkali metals, they will be dissolving in ammonia to form colored solutions. Okay, alkali metals will be dissolving, solubility means it will be dissolving in ammonia. It will be dissolving in liquid ammonia, giving colored solutions. Giving colored solutions. And also, if the concentration, if the dilute solution will be having, or if the solution is of concentration less than 3 molar, then what about the color of the solution? The solution will be appearing in blue color. Okay, if the concentration is less than 3 molar, that means if the solution is a dilute one, it will be having a, while this alkali metals are dissolved in it, it will be having a blue color. And also, if the concentration it is above 3 molar, if it is greater than 3 molar, That means it is more concentrated solution, or we are increasing the concentration of that particular solution. That means if it is above 3 molar, then the blue color changes to bronze. Blue color changes to bronze color. That is, while we are increasing the concentration, the blue color will be changing to bronze color. Okay. And also this blue color, it is due to the presence of the ammoniated electrons. Okay. Blue color of the particular compound is due to the presence of ammoniated electrons. Ammoniated electrons. See here, I will be writing the equation. That is, this is the alkali metal plus we are treating it with excess ammonia. Alkali metal plus excess ammonia. Then we will be having the product or the solution. It will be like this: MnH3 X times plus positive charge plus ENH3 Y times then negative. Okay, MnH3 X times positive charge plus ENH3 Y times negative. So here they have got ammonia. This is the ammoniated cation. That means it will be having a positive charge, isn't it? So this will be the ammoniated cations. Ammoniated cations. The solution will be having ammoniated cations as well as ammoniated electrons. So this is the ammoniated electrons. Ammoniated electrons. Okay, so this particular species has got a positive charge with ammonia, isn't it? So it is ammoniated cations, and this particular species, it has got a negative charge, and also this ammonia, it is get attached with the electrons. So they are ammoniated electrons. So the blue color of the solution, it is due to the presence of the ammoniated electrons. Okay, and also this solution, that is when mixed with liquid ammonia, this solution, it is conducting, or it will be having some conducting nature, and this conducting nature of this particular solution, it is due to the presence of ammoniated cations and ammoniated electrons. I am writing in short, but you have to write it in detail. Okay. The conducting nature of this particular solution, that means it is having positive charge and negative charge, isn't it? So that means ionic species. So that means it will be, the solution will be conducting. So this particular solution, it is having conducting nature due to the presence of this ammoniated cations and ammoniated electrons. Hope you are clear with this. And also this color, it is due to the presence of ammoniated electrons. The color of the solution, it is due to the presence of ammoniated electrons. Okay, these 2 points you should note down. And also the solubility in liquid ammonia, it is very important. Sometimes it might be asked in section B part or C part. Okay, so you have to write this also. So the solubility, normally in liquid ammonia, they will be colored solution. If the concentration is less than 3 molar, it will be having blue color, and if it is greater than 3 molar, or when the concentration is increased, the color changes from blue to bronze. And also the color of this particular solution, it is due to the presence of ammoniated electrons. And again, when this metal, it is treated with excess ammonia, they will be having ammoniated electrons as well as, ammoniated cations as well as ammoniated electrons. Again, the color is due to ammoniated electrons, and the conducting nature, it is due to the presence of ammoniated cations and ammoniated electrons. Hope you are clear up to this. No doubt, I think there will be no doubts for you. Then the next one, that is then again in concentrated solutions, in concentrated solutions, what happens is that this ammoniated metal ions, that means ammoniated metal ions means MnH3 X times ammoniated metal ions, they are bound by free unpaired electrons. They will be surrounded by unpaired electrons. Okay, this ammoniated metal ions, that is this M plus. Okay, this ammoniated metal ions will be bound by free unpaired electrons, or they will be surrounded by free unpaired electrons like this. Okay, and these are the free unpaired electrons. And so what happens is that, see, what about the metal size? So this metal size will become somewhat bigger, isn't it? This metal this is the actual metal size, but when it is surrounded by this unpaired electrons, what happens? It has been somewhat expanded. So therefore they are again called as, in concentrated solution, they are again called as expanded metals. Okay. So in concentrated solution, they will be called as expanded metals, since an electron cloud will be surrounding this metal ions, this ammoniated metal ions. Okay, so they are called as the expanded metals. This point is also very important. Expanded metals. Then again, normally, while the solution is less than 3 molar, we have seen that the solution will be having a blue color, isn't it? Blue colored solution. And this blue colored solution, they are paramagnetic in nature. Blue colored solutions are paramagnetic in nature. That means they will be having unpaired electrons. Okay. While in the case of solution with higher concentrations, or if the solution is greater than 3 molar, what happens? The color changes from blue to bronze, isn't it? So what happens? Here this becomes diamagnetic in nature. That particular substance will be diamagnetic in nature. Diamagnetic means it will be having paired electrons. Okay, so these 2 points also should be noted down. So this is regarding the solubility in liquid ammonia. So if any doubts are there in this area, you can call me. Okay. Then the next reaction. Uses of, next is some of the uses of alkali metals. Uses of alkali metals. Uses of alkali metals. See the first one, that is the case of lithium. Lithium, it is used for making some alloys. Normally these alkali metals, they are highly reactive and also highly expensive. Okay, alkali metals we have seen, they are highly reactive and also highly expensive also. Highly expensive also. So they are not used for ordinary purposes. They will be used for special purposes only. And also the first use, that is lithium, it is used for making alloys. And also it is used in making used in the metal bearings, that is used as a white metal bearings. Used in making white metal bearings in motor engines. In motor engines. Okay, with lead, it will be this lithium, it will be combining with lead. Okay, lithium will be combining with lead to form white metal bearings. Lithium plus lead, that combination will be used for making this white metal bearings. Then again, it is used for this lithium, it is used with aluminium. Lithium plus aluminium, that combination, it is used to make aircraft parts. It is used to make aircraft parts. Then with magnesium, lithium on combination with magnesium in some different ratios, it will be used to make armor plates. Used to make armor plates. Then again, the next use in general, we can say that they are used for thermonuclear reactions. Used in thermonuclear reactions. Used in thermonuclear reactions. Then the next is lithium is used in electrochemical cells. You have heard of this lithium batteries, etc., isn't it? Lithium is used in electrochemical cells. Then again, next point, sodium metal, it is used as a combination. Okay, in the manufacture of lead sodium alloy. Lead sodium alloy. And also this lead sodium alloy, it is used for the commercial preparation of tetraethyl lead, etc., tetramethyl lead, PbCH3 4 times. or tetraethyl C2H5 pentaethyl lead. For the commercial manufacture of these two compounds, the sodium lead alloy is used. Okay, so here sodium is used for this particular purpose. That is Pb. This is PbEt, ethyl group. This is ethyl group C2H5, isn't it? So PbEt, Et5. This is PbMe4. That is, this is methyl group, isn't it? CH3 4 times. So this is PbMe 4 times. Okay. Then the next one, another important use is that this lithium sodium metal. Lithium sodium metal, it is used as a coolant. It is used as a coolant in fast breeder nuclear reactors. In fast breeder nuclear reactors. In fast breeder nuclear reactors. Then the next point, sixth point, that is potassium chloride, KCl, it is used as a fertilizer. KCl, it is used as a fertilizer. Then next one, potassium hydroxide, KOH. It is used in the manufacture of soft soap. It is used in the manufacture of soft soap. Then the next point, cesium. Cesium, it is used in photoelectric cells. Cesium, it is used in photoelectric cells. Okay. So this much it is. These are some of the uses of alkali metals. I hope I had covered all of the reactions, most of the reactions. Okay. So these are some of the uses of alkali metals. You have to go through all these uses also. Then coming to, I think there is a brief description, it is given in your textbook also, that is regarding the compounds of elements of group 1, a comparative study that I will be taking in the next session. Okay, so please write the lecture notes and you have to upload it as earlier sessions. Okay, and also please take your time for studying also along with your extracurricular activities. Don't waste your time. For the first years you have got so much, you will be getting so much time, but while moving on to second and final years, you will be having very difficult portions are also there, and also the laboratories will be there, so there will be no time for you. So for the first semester and the second semester, you have to score to the maximum. Okay, don't waste your time, and you have to concentrate on your studies also while at home. Okay. And again, there is no need for improvement also. Most of the students will be expecting, that is for your first semester and second semester, you will be thinking of for an improvement exam, but it is not as easy as you think. That is, while doing the S1 and S2 improvement, you will be in S3 or S4 or sometimes at S5. So that time you cannot concentrate on this S1 portions. That time you have to study that S3 or S4 or S5, whatever it is. So please don't try for an improvement or a supplementary exam. You have to score at its best while writing your first university examination, that is your S1 examination itself. Okay, so that's a request from my part. You have to study properly and don't waste your time, and also you have to concentrate on the science subjects, that is physics, chemistry and mathematics. Okay, for language subjects, that is for English and second language, there is you just want a pass. Okay, there is no need of having so much high marks. That will not be counted in your higher studies. That is, while if you are going for a PG, for an MSc, the English as well as the marks in English or Malayalam, it will not be counted. Okay, so that you have to keep in mind. So you have to concentrate in the core subject as well as the complementary subjects. Maths also you have to do you have to work out the problems with so many examples. Okay, so have a nice day. Thank you.